Yes, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, people. It's good to be here once again, and my name is St Aubyn from the BSB radio station. You see, right now we are dealing with a thing where we call him G.O.A.T, GOAT, greatest of all time. We are looking at the great men who actually do great work in this life on behalf of us, and their legacy live on, right? Yes, we done Brother Abdul Kalim Mohammed, and that one is very good on Facebook. I would urge you to go and look through that one and see what's going on with it. Today we're gonna look into the life of the great Malcolm Little. Yeah, now people, Malcolm Little was born on the 19th of May 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, he was the fourth of 7 children of Grenada-born Louise Helene Little Nee Norton and Georgia-born Earl Little. So this is where the Little come from, the father. Earl was an outspoken Baptist lay speaker, and he and Louise were admirers of Pan-African activist Marcus Mosiah Garvey, our own little short Marcus Garvey. Earl was a local leader of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, that's the UNIA, and Louise, his wife, served as secretary and branch reporter, sending news of local UNIA activities to Negro worldwide. They inculcated self-reliance and black pride in their children, especially Malcolm Little, who later became Malcolm X. Malcolm X later said that white violence killed 4 of his father's brothers. Because of KKK or the Ku Klux Klan checked, Earl's UNIA activity were said to be spreading trouble, and the family relocated in 1926 to Milwaukee and shortly thereafter to Lansing, Michigan. There the family was frequently harassed by the Black Legions and white racists. You can imagine, they were harassed by black devils, Legion mean devils, and white racists group. Earl accused of burning their family home in 1929. Earl was radical. You can see where Malcolm get it from. Yeah, people. Earl just is a chip don't fly far from black, you know, and Malcolm was one of the chip that fly off the block of his father. And the sad thing about it, Malcolm never see his father he never know much about his father. His father died when he was just 6 years old. He died in what has been officially ruled as streetcar accident. Though his mother Louise believed Earl had been murdered by the Black Legion, these rumors that white racists were responsible for his father's death were widely circulated and were very disturbing to Malcolm X. As a child, as an adult, he expressed conflicting beliefs, and the question after a dispute with creditors, Louise received a life insurance benefit, normally $1,000, about $17,000 in 2019. Right? Yeah. In payment of 18%. The issuer of another larger policy refused to pay, claiming her husband Earl had committed suicide. Insurance company. You see what them do? Them take your money, but to pay them find excuse and reason away things, which is ridiculous. To make ends meet, Louise rented out part of her garden, and her son hunted games. You see, sometimes mother have to go through so many things for children to come out to be somebody, something. And children who listening to me, you have to remember that, you know, mama have to make the sacrifice, and daddy sometimes, just to make ends meet. In 1937, a man Louise had been dating, that is Malcolm's mother, marriage had seemed a possibility, vanished from her life. So this man actually was dating her, and she said, oh my God, I find my husband now. Basically what she said. And the man vanished from her life when she became pregnant with his child in late 1938. She had a nervous breakdown and was committed to Kalamazoo State Hospital. The children were separated and sent to foster homes. Malcolm and his siblings secure her release 24 years later. Well then, you see, benefit not go too far from where come from, people, see there? Malcolm Little attend West Junior High School in Lansing, that is in Michigan, and the Mason High School in Mason, Michigan, but left high school in 1941 before graduating. He excelled in junior high school but dropped out of high school after a white teacher told him that practicing law, his aspiration at the time, was no realistic goal for a nigger. Later, Malcolm recalled feeling that the white world offered no place for a career-oriented black man, regardless of his talent. From the age of 14 to 21, Malcolm held a variety of jobs while living with his half-sister, Ella Little Collins, in Roxbury, a largely African-American neighborhood of Boston. After a short time in Flint, Michigan, he moved to New York City in a place called Harlem neighborhood in 1943, where he engaged in drug dealing, gambling, racketeering, robbery, and pimping. Malcolm was a bad boy, you know. He befriended John Elroy Sanford, a fellow dishwasher at Jimmy's Chicken Shack in Harlem, who aspired to be a professional comedian. Both men had reddish hair, so Sanford was called Chicago Red, after his hometown, and Malcolm was known as Detroit Red. Years later, Sanford became famous as Red Fox. Summoned by the local job board for military service in World War II, he feigned mental disturbance by rambling and declaring, "I want to be sent down south to organize them nigger soldiers. And they steal us some gun and kill us some crackers." He was declared mentally disqualified for military service because of that statement. I tell you, when you're black, you can have trouble. In the late 1945, the year when Bob Marley born, Malcolm returned to Boston, where he and 4 accomplices committed a series of burglaries, targeting wealthy white families. In 1946, he was arrested while picking up a stolen watch he had left at a shop for repair. And in February, began serving an 8 to 10 year sentence at Charleston State Prison for larceny, right? And breaking and entering. That's what they charged him for. He spent his teenage year living in a series of foster homes after his father's death. We said that before. His mother hospitalization, he engaged in several illicit activities. They eventually been sentenced to 10 years in prison from 1946 for larceny and breaking and entering. In prison, he joined the Nation of Islam, adopted the name Malcolm X, and quickly became one of the most powerful persons in the black community. He was an African American, as we know that, minister and human rights activist, who a popular figure during the civil rights movement. That is Malcolm we're talking about. He is best known for his time spent as vocal spokesman for the Nation of Islam, organizing most influential leaders and being paroled in 1952. Malcolm X then served as a public face.
The history of unpunished violence against our people clearly indicates that we must be prepared to defend ourselves, or we will continue to be a defenseless people at the mercy of a ruthless and violent racist mob.
Of the organization for a dozen years, 12 years, where he advocates for black supremacy, black empowerment, and the separation of black and white Americans. He publicly criticized mainstream civil rights movement for its emphasis on non-violence, racial integration. Malcolm also expressed pride in some of the nation's social welfare achievements, namely its free drugs rehabilitation program throughout its life beginning in 1950. Malcolm endured surveillance from the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, for nation supposed link in communism. So they suspect that Malcolm was wanted to get into communism. So they observe him for some time, right? In 1960, Malcolm X began to grow disillusion with the Nation of Islam, as well as with the leader Elijah Muhammad. He subsequently embraced Sunni Islam and the civil rights movement after completing the Hajj to Mecca and became known as El-Haz Malik El-Shabazz. After a brief period of travel across Africa, he publicly renounced the Nation of Islam and founded the Islamic Muslim Mass INCMMI and the Pan-African Organization of Afro-American Unity OAAU. Throughout 1964, his conflict with the Nation of Islam intensified and he was repeatedly sent death threats. On February 21, 1965, he was assassinated. Three Nation members were charged with the murder and given intermediate life sentence. Speculation about the assassination and whether it was conceived or aided by leading or additional member of the nation or with law enforcement agency have persisted for a decade after the shooting. A controversial figure accused of preaching racism and violence, Malcolm X is also a widely celebrated figure within the Afro-American and Muslim American communities. For his pursuit of racial justice, he was, with hindsight, honored with Malcolm X Day, and which he is commemorated in various cities across the United States. Hundreds of streets and schools in the U.S. have been renamed in his honor, while Audubon Ballroom, the site of his assassination, was partly redeveloped in 2005 to accommodate Malcolm X and Dr. Betty. The great Malcolm X died, as we said before, on February 21, 1965, and that man is a hero. Rest in peace, brother Malcolm. Rest in peace, my brother. Peace be upon you. I tell you. People, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And this is St. Aubyn from BSB Radio. And we're just doing a little thing on the man life, Malcolm X. So remember, talk to me down in the comment. Yes. Leave me some comment. G.O.A.T TV. So give me a like, give me a share, give me a subscribe. Bless up. Thank you very much.